For the past 70 years, one single element has been secretly running our entire world. Seriously. But that reign, it's coming to an end. So let's dive in and see what's next for the future of computer chips.
Okay, so what actually powers our digital world? It sounds like a huge question, right? But the answer is behind literally everything. The phone you're holding, the server streaming this, it all boils down to trillions and trillions of tiny little electronic switches.
And for over 70 years, one element has been the undisputed king of those switches. I mean, think about it. Since the very first transistor back in 1947, a single, solitary material has been the foundation for our entire technological revolution.
And that king, of course, is silicon. It was kind of the perfect material, right? It's a great semiconductor, and it's literally everywhere on Earth. I mean, it's in sand. It was the perfect foundation for the modern world. But, and this is a big but, after decades of just unbelievable progress, that reign is definitely coming to an end.
So what happens when the king just can't keep up anymore? Because that's the problem we're staring at right now. We are pushing the absolute physical limits of what silicon can do. And if we want to keep innovating, well, we're going to need something new.
All right, so let's get into it. The end of silicon's reign. Why do we need to move on? Let's break down the big problems.
Okay, so the issues are really starting to stack up. For one, we're just hitting a physical wall. You've probably heard of Moore's Law. Well, we're struggling to make chips smaller and faster without them getting ridiculously hot. That heat is a huge problem. And when you look at the really futuristic stuff like quantum computing, silicon it's not the right tool for the job, not even close.
Think of it this way. If silicon was the all-around athlete that got us this far, the future belongs to a whole team of specialists. So let's meet these new materials, the contenders ready to step up.
And here they are. The big takeaway from this chart? There's no one-size-fits-all replacement for silicon. It's not about finding one new king, it's about a whole team of specialists. You've got graphene, which is all about pure, insane speed. Then you have gallium nitride and silicon carbide, the heavyweights for handling high power. We're even looking at wild stuff like 2D materials for impossibly small transistors and quantum dots for things like amazing displays and, yep, quantum computing.
Okay, let's zoom in on a couple of these. We're going to start with the heavy hitters for power. Gallium nitride, or GaN for short, and silicon carbide, SiC. These two are already out there, and they are absolute game changers for anything that needs to handle a lot of electricity.
So what's their superpower? It's all about handling heat. I mean, just look at this chart. It shows thermal conductivity, which is just a fancy way of saying how good they are at getting rid of heat. You can see SiC and GaN absolutely towering over silicon. They can run hot and heavy without breaking a sweat, which is something silicon really struggles with.
But what does this actually mean for you? Well, you've probably already used it. You know that tiny little charging brick for your phone or laptop that's way smaller but just as powerful as the old clunky ones? Yep, that's gallium nitride or GaN. And for you EV drivers, the reason electric cars are getting longer ranges and charging faster, that's silicon carbide, SiC, working its magic in the power systems.
All right, so we've covered power. But what about pure, unadulterated speed? For that, we've got to talk about the superstar, graphene. This stuff has been hyped for years. And trust me, there's a very good reason why.
Check this out. This chart shows something called electron mobility. It's basically a speed test for electricity. And as you can see, graphene is it's in a league of its own. If we're talking about a data superhighway, graphene is the warp drive. You know, if silicon is a country road, graphene is the autobahn with no speed limit. That incredible speed is why everyone's so excited about it for things like future communications and super fast computing.
So we've seen what these materials can do. They're faster, they handle heat better. But how? What makes them so special? Well, the secret is all about a little something in physics called the band gap. Okay, stay with me here. It's actually pretty simple. Imagine the band gap is like a little energy hurdle that an electron has to jump over. If it doesn't have enough energy, it stays put, and the switch is off. But if you give it a big enough jolt of energy, it leaps over the hurdle and bam, the switch is on. The size of that hurdle, that band gap, is basically what determines everything about how a semiconductor behaves. It's the on-off switch. But here's the really cool part. It's not just about the size of the jump, it's how the electron jumps that matters. You've got two flavors, direct and indirect. In a direct bandgap material, like our friend gallium nitride, the electron makes a clean, direct jump. And when it does, it releases its energy as light, super efficient. But in an indirect material like silicon, the electron has to do this clumsy little shuffle to get across. It needs a little push from vibrations.
And in that process, most of the energy just gets wasted as heat. Not so great for making light. So this is what that clumsy, indirect jump in silicon looks like. That little sideways step is everything. It's exactly why silicon is a terrible choice for making things like LEDs or lasers. It's a workhorse for processors, for sure, but for making light, it's just not built for it.
And now look at this. This is the direct jump in gallium nitride. See how clean that is? Straight up. That super efficient leap is precisely why GaN completely changed the game for lighting. Every bright, energy-saving LED light you see today, you can thank that direct band gap for it.
Okay, so we have these incredible new materials. They're amazing. But there's always a but, right? The huge question is, how do we actually go from a cool discovery in a lab to building tomorrow's chips in a factory?
And yeah, it's a massive challenge. It's not as simple as just swapping out the material. First, you have to actually create these materials as large, perfect, defect-free crystals. That's incredibly hard. Then, you've got to figure out how to make them at scale without it costing a fortune. And maybe the biggest hurdle of all, you have to get these new guys to work with the trillions of dollars of silicon-based systems we've already built.
And yeah, each material comes with its own special headache. Take graphene, our speed demon. It's got an Achilles heel. It doesn't have a natural band gap, that off switch we talked about. So it's always on. You can't really build a processor with switches that are stuck in the on position. Then you've got GaN and SiC, which are awesome but still pretty expensive to make. And other materials just don't line up right with silicon's crystal structure, creating all sorts of defects.
But here's where it gets really exciting. We have a powerful new tool to speed all of this up: artificial intelligence. Seriously, instead of spending years and years mixing chemicals in a lab hoping for a breakthrough, AI can simulate how materials will behave. It can predict their properties and point scientists towards the most promising candidates, cutting down discovery time from years to, well, a whole lot less.
And that's really the heart of it. This quote from Chetan Arvind Patil nails it. This isn't just some fun science experiment. Figuring out how to integrate these new materials is absolutely crucial if we want to break through silicon's limits and keep the engine of technology moving forward.
So that leaves us with a final thought. Silicon built the 20th century. It gave us everything we have today. But the 21st century, it's not going to be built on just one thing. It's going to be built by a whole team of these new specialized materials. The only question left is, which one of them will build our future?